Last Sunday we went through Matthew 7, and we talked about seeking after the Father. And I used Susie as an illustration about how the Father is all that matters in the house right now. And it hasn't changed this week. She knows at night when she wakes up, it is the Father coming to see her. And last night when she woke up, she was hardly making a sound, but I can hear her, so I'll just go. She was propped up in the corner of her crib, simply waiting. She wasn't crying. She was just the odd mumble, but she was simply waiting. And there's so much. Well, as soon as I walk in, I'm like, it's just like, oh my goodness, this is so what God wants us to do. Be sitting there and waiting for him to come through. And he will always come through the door. He's not like me where sometimes like, oh, she can just cry it out. He is the one that is like, I will go and meet them where they are at. I will come to you when you cry for me. So that is like the whole thing has just been playing over and over and over in my mind about seeking after the Father. Today we're going to go into Matthew 8. This is this is it. We're going to go into Matthew 8. To recap what we have talked about the last couple weeks, we talked about the Sermon on the Mountain. We went through the Sermon on the Mountain, and really it was Jesus telling his followers what was required of them. That was basically what he was doing. Hey, this is what you need to do. And it boiled down to you need to follow me. I need to be number one in your life. Seek after me. So we're going to start in Matthew 8, verses 1. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. I am willing, he said. Be clean. Immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. Then Jesus said to him, see that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them. Jesus wasn't even off the mountain yet. He was coming down. The man with leprosy would have been cast out from society, so to speak. He was sick. He was not welcome. He was not well, so the priest would have cast him out and say, go out and get well. This is the first time in Scripture where we have any evidence of somebody being cured of leprosy after Miriam was in Numbers. So there was a lot of years in there where there is no recorded account of somebody being healed of leprosy. It was a terrible disease. And Jesus simply reached out and said, be well. Be clean, actually, is what he said. Why did he use the word be clean? Probably because this is the words that the man with leprosy asked. Just make me clean. So Jesus said, be clean. I will meet you where you're at. Be clean. What's interesting to me is the words he said after he healed him. In verse 4, he says, see that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them. By this command, Jesus was urging the man to keep low, to provide further proof of healing to the priest, right? To testify to the authorities, actually, concerning his ministry, and to supply ritual certification of being clean, right? He wouldn't be allowed back into society until the priest declared him clean. And then the very last words is, as a testimony to them. Jesus is saying, your being clean is going to be a testimony to those that don't believe it. The men that are the priests, this is going to be a testimony that I am here, that I have come, that the King of the world truly is here. But he said, go to them first, because you are required by the law to go to the priest to be declared clean. He was keeping right in the line of the law at the time. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home paralyzed, suffering terribly. Jesus said to him, shall I come and heal him? The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, But just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go. I tell this one, and and he goes. And that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed, and he said to those following, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west, and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go, let it be done as you believed it would. And his servant was healed at that moment. The centurion, he had a servant at home that was sick, but he believed. He believed that Jesus could do this. He knew that him, as being in charge, he could command and things would happen. But he knew that Jesus had the same authority, that Jesus could command and things would happen, that Jesus was in control and things would happen. Jesus says, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel of such faith. Then he goes on to attack the Jews at the time, really. I say that to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their place at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. This is the feast at the table in heaven, right, that he is talking about, where all that believe will be gathered together. And he says, but the subjects of the kingdom. He was directly going after the Jews who thought that Judaism was just an inheritance and an easy way into the kingdom. And he is saying that is not so. You need to have faith like this man. You need to believe like this man, and then you can inherit the kingdom. It's a heart issue. It's not a knowledge issue. It's a heart issue. They'll be thrown outside into never experiencing God's love again. Outside of God's realm is what he means by outside. Into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, where you will want to die, where there is no happiness, no love. Go, let it be done, just as you believe it would. And his servant was healed at that moment. Now, Jesus goes on to heal many. It says that when Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law laying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and her fever left, and she got up and began to wait on him. When evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities, and he bore our diseases. I find it very interesting. He walked into Peter's house, and Peter's mother-in-law was laying there. And not only there wasn't even a conversation, it says. He just touched her, and she was healed. She got up and began to wait on him. Got up, began to wait on him. How often have I felt God working in my life, and then I would rather lay around in bed and think about it, write it off, but I do not get up and serve. I want to have excuses. I want to make this something that is normal, but it's not. I need to do as Peter's mother-in-law did. Get up and serve. Get up and serve my Christ who just saved me. Get up and serve the Christ who made it well. Get up and serve the one who has made my life worthy of living. Verse 18, the cost of following Jesus. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to the other side. He gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Are you sure you want to follow me, is what he said? Are you sure this is something that you're willing to do? Are you sure you're willing to walk away from everything you know to follow me? Are you sure? Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed except for heaven. Are you sure? Are you sure is what he said. Another disciple said to him, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. But Jesus told him, follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead. Follow me. We don't even know that his father was sick or close to dying. He said, let me bury my father. In the Jewish tradition, it was a very serious thing about the kids burying their parents. It was the kids, not even custom. It was you were required to bury your parents. And Jesus is disabling all that. Say, no, follow me. Let the spiritually dead bury their own. Follow me. Me first. Me first. Me first. Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly, a furious storm came up on the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. He replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. We've all heard this story. I love it, but it's so good. Jesus was sleeping in the boat. He was sleeping. He was resting. This signifies that Jesus was human. We are told that God does not rest. Jesus was human. He was sleeping in the boat. Yes, he came from the Father, but he left his dignity aside to come as a human. He was sleeping in the boat. He was resting. Then the disciples said, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. This wouldn't have been the disciples' first storm. It wouldn't have been the first time they were on the sea being tossed around. They were used to this, but this must have been bad. The Greek word actually for the storm, it translates into earthquake. So it could have been a very serious storm. And he replied, you have little faith. In my mind, when I read that, he says, you have little faith. He was laying down, and his disciples come up, hey, save us. And he goes, oh, you have little faith. Like, why are you waking me for this? You have little faith. Why are you so afraid? Have you not seen the things I have done? Why is this an issue for you? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The complete calmness suddenly would have shook them, because even when they had experienced storms, the wind goes away, there's still waves for quite a while. The waves don't just disappear because the wind has disappeared. The lake has to settle out. The sea has to settle out. Whatever it is has to settle out. So things still happen, but it says it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. He is in control. He is in control of nature. He is in control of everything. His authority is over all. When he arrived at the other side, in the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men came from the tombs and met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. What do you want with us, Son of God? They shouted. Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time? What do you want with us, Son of God? It doesn't say he introduced himself as the Son of God, but the demons knew he was the Son of God. The demons know him. Have you come to torture us before the appointed time? They know they lose. They know the time is coming when they are going to be tortured. They know they are in a losing battle. We, as Christians, have authority over that. We, as Christians, have authority because the living Spirit lives in us, and they know, the evil spirits know they lose. Let's use that. Some distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged Jesus, if you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs. He said to them, go. So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the town and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region. They pleaded with him to leave because the herd of pigs could have been many thousands. This was their livelihood. This was what they knew. They saw this as a huge financial loss, the community. They pleaded with Jesus, leave. You're destroying our economy. Please leave. You're destroying what we know, right? The image of the pigs going down into the lake, we could see it as the same image as Satan being cast into the pit of fire, the abyss, the bottom, right? And this is what Jesus was showing them. I have the authority. I do win. You are not going to get out of that pit. No, go, be gone with you. In this chapter of Matthew 8, Jesus did many amazing things. He calmed the storm. He shows us authority over nature. He cast out demons. So he shows us the authority he has in the spiritual realm of things. He is in control. He is over all. He heals the sick twice. He heals the man with leprosy. He heals the centurion's son. And he also heals Mary, and it says many others that came. So he shows us the authority he has over disease and sickness. This is one chapter. And Jesus has showed all this authority after he preached it on the mountainside. He said, follow me, follow me, follow me. We also have the same Spirit living in us. We have this authority as well. This is not something that has been kept from us. This is not something that we cannot be a part of. But do we believe? Do we believe that we can do this? Do we seek after this? Do we seek after the relationship with God that Jesus did? Do we seek after knowing him the way Jesus did? We are told, we'll get into it, but we are told that he went to be with the Father. He would leave the crowds and go and be with the Father. He spent time listening to his Father. He spent time talking to his Father. And he spent time just worshiping his Father. Do I do that enough? I don't think so. Do I spend enough time with my Father so that I can live the way Christ has called me to live? Do I spend enough time with my Father so that I can be the difference in Kindersley? That I could be the one that people say, Christ lives in him. Christ is definitely part of his life. As we go this week, let's challenge ourselves. Let's spend one more minute this week with the Father than we did last week. I'm not asking for hours. I'm asking for a minute. A minute a day more than last week. Let's challenge ourselves to do this. Let me spend a minute more this week in prayer. And a minute longer even simply listening. If we listen, we will hear. Ask, and it will be given. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be open to us. It's amazing how all of the Gospels, they actually all tell us the same message. Many different stories. Same thing. Me first, me first, me first. Father, thank you for your word. Thank you for sending your Son. Thank you for so many things, Lord. It is Thanksgiving, and I give you thanks. I'm thankful for the sun. I'm thankful for the rain. I'm thankful for the clouds, Lord, for the wind, for the things that I don't actually see as much glory in, but I'm thankful, Lord, because it shows me who you are. Lord, thank you for my church. Thank you for the people that bring you glory. Thank you for the people that are hungry for more. Thank you for the people that don't actually know you, and I get to be your hands and feet, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you.